Don't forget to subscribe!
Hey everybody, welcome back to a new video. My name is Natalie the Lifelight alongside Daggett Beaver, Zam, and Pikachu. And we're here to announce that Higurashi no Naku Koro ni new will be premiering tonight. And we're actually going to be explaining the arcs of Higurashi. And Rena, Rika, Hanyu, and I will also be able to explain what will be occurring in the new version of Higurashi. Without further ado, let's go! This is the first arc of the Higurashi no Naku Koro ni series released on August 10th, 2002, and it is told from the perspective of Keiichi Maibara, who grows increasingly paranoid and eventually violent as he progressively feels that his friends are trying to kill him. And this first arc does not reveal the cause of Keiichi's paranoia and eventual violence, and it implies a possible supernatural influence on him, as well as influence from paranoia-induced hallucinations. Well, at first, the person is shown the happy life of Keiichi Maibara, who recently moved to the rural village of Hinamizawa. And this chapter mostly focuses on Keiichi's and his friends' happy days, and he becomes a member of a club where his new friends, Mion Sonozaki, Rena Ryugu, Satoko Hojo, and Rika Furude play games after school. And however, Keiichi's happy days come to an end as he learns from the visiting nature photographer Tomitake Jiro that there was a bloody murder in Hinamizawa. Keiichi questions his friends about the incident and they unwaveringly deny it, evaluating Keiichi's doubt in them. Keiichi tries to ignore Hinamizawa's past and returns to his peaceful life. But as the day of the Watanagashi festival approaches, he learns about Oyashiro-sama's curse from Tomitake's friend, Mio Takano. On the day after the festival, Keiichi learns from the local detective, Oishi Kurado, that Tomitake was killed on the previous night, and Keiichi agrees to cooperate with the detective in order to find out the truth. As he was fearing his friends, Keiichi feigns sickness to skip school, and he learns from Oishi that all of his friends are connected with the previous festival's victims. On that evening, Mion and Rena visit Keiichi and give him some ohagi as both a get-well gift and club assignment. And to Keiichi's surprise, Rena and Mion know his talk with Oishi. And to his shock, he later discovers that one of the ohagi they gave him contains a needle. The next day, Keiichi takes the disappeared student Satoshi Hojo's old baseball bat for self-defense. However, when Keiichi finds out that Satoshi did the same things a year ago and disappeared, his suspicion and fear start to turn into insanity. As Keiichi's insanity grows, he becomes more and more violent towards his friends and believes the whole village is out to kill him. And in the climax of the final chapter, Keiichi's struggle to stay alive forces him to make a horrible decision. This is the second question arc, and it was released on December 29th, 2002. And this is best known for the first appearance of Shion Sonozaki and revealing a more sensitive side of her sister Mion. And Oishi appears more determined to obsessed in pursuit to solve Oyashiro-sama's curse regardless of the means. As in the previous arc, the story is related from the viewpoint of Keiichi Maibara. And unlike the previous arc, this arc suggests that characters are actually possessed by demons, and two characters make appearances and interact with others for days after they are believed to be dead. Keiichi wins a game tournament and gives his prize, a porcelain doll, to Rena, stating that Mion is a tomboy and will not be interested in girly things, though Mion is actually rather hurt that Keiichi thinks about her that way, though she pretends not to mind. But alone in the anime, or with his father, in the visual novel, he visits Angel Mort, where he meets whom thinks he is Mion, but it's her identical twin sister Shion. And after the Watanagashi festival is discussed, and the two sisters' relationships with one another and with Keiichi are the main focus of this story. The group attends the festival, where Jiro Tomitake and Mio Takano are introduced, and they meet Shion, whom with the curse is discussed. And Shion and Keiichi later encounter Tomitake and Mio as they all break into the Saiguden and are disturbed to discover what is full of torture devices, and Tomitake and Shion are unnerved by the increasing noise. which Keiichi and Takano are unable to hear. That sounds like someone jumping on the wooden floor. And Tomitake and Takano are found dead soon after, presumably for having trespassed on Oyashiro-sama's sacred ground. And Shion wonders if she and Keiichi are meant to disappear, and tensions rise as others in the village mysteriously disappear. While Mion behaves strangely, Keiichi begins to suspect that the Shion with whom he has been talking to on the phone the past few days may not be Shion at all. However, Mion becomes Oishi's primary suspect in the disappearances, and Keiichi confides in Rena, and they are both approached by Oishi with the intent to gain entry to the Zonozaki house. And they go to the house for their own accord, where Keiichi confesses his misdeed on the night of the festival, and Rena lays out their evidence and theories as to what Mion has done. And revelations about the Sonozaki family and the old village legends were made, after which Mion gets Keiichi to talk to her privately so that she can confess her misdeeds. And she reveals that Shion is still alive and takes him to her before incapacitating him with a taser. And the truth of how things ended up this way is revealed in a hidden torture chamber. And that his last wish may be the only thing that can save any of them. This is the third question arc, and it was released on August 15th, 2003. And unlike the first two previous arcs, it has 5 chapters instead of 4. And it was preceded by the previous arc that we mentioned earlier. And the story mainly focuses on the Hojo family, and it is the first arc to reveal details about Satoko's brother, Satoshi, who vanished on Satoko's birthday the year prior as an alleged result of Oyashiro's curse. And it is also told from the perspectives of Keiichi, Maebara, and Satoko. And it also includes the first identified appearances of Ire Kyosuke, the physician who runs the local clinic, and Teipei Hojo, Satoko's abusive uncle. And similar to the previous arc, this has characters showing up after they were apparently confirmed to be dead, along with bodies disappearing from where they were apparently buried. And every person whom Keiichi wishes to die or simply curses seemingly does so. Due to his concerns with his artistic work out of town, Keiichi's father and mother leave him alone for a few days, and Keiichi despairs about providing his own meals. And provoked, Keiichi rashly challenges Satoko to a cooking contest which both know he will lose. And she and Rika go to his house and check on his progress, only to find out that the food is burning, and they just manage to stop him from burning his house down. And Satoko takes charge and cooks the meal for all 3 of them from Rika, and later through a conversation with the baseball team manager, Dr. Iri. And Keiichi learns about Satoko's past and her love for her missing brother Satoshi, and Satoko and Keiichi continue to bond, with Keiichi becoming her new Nini. Unfortunately, Satoko's uncle Teipei returns to Hinamizawa to take custody of Satoko and resume an abusive relationship with her, where he treats her like a slave while demanding money from her. Keiichi finds the fatalistic reactions from his friends, Iri, and even the teacher, Chirumiko, disturbing. He quickly learns what they have all learned. Because Satoko previously made a false claim against her stepfather, Child Services will not act without evidence, and Satoko will not report her uncle's abuse out of fear of him. And Teipei has cowed her with threats to destroy her brother's room, and the hope that Satoshi will one day return to her is all she feels she has. There appears nothing they can do, and attempts to intervene only provoke more abuse. However, Keiichi cannot accept his stalemate, and he makes it his personal mission to rescue Satoko. And he has a breaking point when he tries to one day pat her head, which Satoko interprets as Teipei about to abuse her. Keiichi swears and plots to kill Teipei. Keiichi chooses the night of the Watanagashi festival after concluding that it was Satoshi who killed his and Satoko's aunt on the same night the year previously. He calls Mion and tells her to take Satoko to the festival since he will be busy. And this matches the request Satoshi made the previous year. On the eve of the Watanagashi festival, Keiichi takes Satoshi's bat, lures Teipei out to the forest, and kills him by beating to death, and buries him there. and he disposes of Teipei's motorcycle and Satoshi's bat in the Onigafuchi swamp. Expecting his days to be happy again, Keiichi goes to school the next morning and is delighted to see Satoko. Unfortunately, he soon realizes that nothing seems to be right. All of his friends, including Satoko, all claim that he attended the festival with them, and that Satoko had gone home early at the request of her uncle, who is still alive, and this confuses and frustrates Keiichi. He decides to confess to Iri about what happened, and the doctor tearfully thanks him for what he had done. When Keiichi tells him that Teipei was still alive, however, Iri hesitantly suggests the worst, that Keiichi killed the wrong man. Iri leaves claiming to make him some tea for them, but Keiichi overhears Iri instructing his staff to mix Keiichi's tea with sedatives, as well as news of Takano turning up dead in the mountains and feeling betrayed. He wishes Iri were dead as he flees from the clinic. Becoming mad and untrustworthy of everyone, he returns to the forest to prove to himself that the body he buried was Teipei's by checking the nape of his neck for tattoos, and as he digs, Oishi, Komiyama, and Kumagai find him. Oishi does not respond well to Keiichi's obstinate attitude and forces him to continue digging, and Keiichi eventually strikes something hard with his shovel, and Kumagai throws Keiichi out of the pit to finish exposing the hard object, only to find a rock. And frustrated that their lead panned out, the officers leave after noticing the condition of the soil suggests that it had been previously dug out and placed back in. Keiichi then learns that all the people whom he wished dead from the day of killing Teipei have now died, convincing him that he now holds the power in this world to erase human life, and he returns to Teipei's house, only to find him and kill him again. Instead, he finds Satoko seemingly scalding herself in a hot bath while counting down from an unreasonably high number in order to satisfy an order from her uncle. And Keiichi rescues her and takes her to the Iri clinic, but they hear the radio of a nearby police car to announce the death of Iri by apparent suicide, and they leave unseen and disheartened. And throughout their journey, Keiichi becomes more unstable as he starts telling Satoko about his newfound powers. Satoko is creeped out at first, but accepts and forgives him for being who he is. However, Satoko becomes unable to process his denial that Teipei is still alive, though an emotional Keiichi presses on and confesses to killing him, and they retreat to the Furude shrine so that Satoko can change into clothes, only for Keiichi to find an axe and the dead and disemboweled naked body of Rika, surrounded by crows feasting on her, causing him to scream in horror, and he picks up the axe and frightens the crows away. However, the axe slips from his hands and falls into Rika's pool of blood, and Keiichi picks up the axe, now covered in Rika's blood. However, seeing Keiichi with the axe in his hand and Rika mutilated before him, a returning Satoko assumes he killed her and screams that he is a murderer. Satoko becomes unstable, and she recounts having stumbled into Oyashiro's tool shed prior to her parents' deaths, and claims Oyashiro possessed her to kill them as punishment. And she believes Oyashiro has possessed Keiichi to murder Rika. And Keiichi begs for Satoko to believe his pleas of innocence when he confronts her on a bridge, and convinced that he is possessed, Satoko pushes him off the bridge. As he falls, he wishes destruction upon the village. Keiichi later wakes to learn that all Hinamizawa's inhabitants perished from toxic gases released from the Onigafuchi swamp. When being interviewed by a tabloid journalist, Keiichi describes in scary detail of what kind of man he has become and what kind of powers he has, before wishing the journalist dead and dying shortly thereafter. This is the fourth and last question arc, and it was released on August 13th, 2004. And it is shorter than the previous arcs with only 2 chapters, and it takes 5 years before them. And it revolves around the experiences of Mamoru Akasaka, an investigator from the Metropolitan Police Department in Tokyo. And it also continues to reveal a more mature and moving side of Rika Furude. This arc is different because Maibara Keiichi is not the main character, and the story begins 5 years earlier than any of the other stories. And the protagonist is Mamoru Akasaka, a detective from Tokyo, and he is sent to Hinamizawa to rescue Inukai Toshiki, the grandson of a government official. who is taken hostage. While waiting for Makino, he meets a younger Rika Furude at the bus stop and notices how cute she is. And from there, Rika shows him around the village. And thanks to Hondaya, who supports him in his search, he meets Oishi Kurado, a detective from Okinomiya, who will aid him in saving Toshiki. And meanwhile, Rika takes Akasaka to the Furude shrine and the two spark a conversation. And within this conversation, Rika threatens Akasaka to leave Hinamizawa or bad things will happen. But he shrugs it off and assumes that Rika is just kidding. A few days later, Oishi and Akasaka rescue Toshiki from his kidnappers, though the politician grandfather of him has already given in to the kidnappers' demands and ended the dam construction, making Toshiki's recovery useless. And his work complete, Akasaka decides to spend his last few days in Hinamizawa. With Rika as his companion, she takes him to the Watanagashi festival, though it is merely a get-together for locals to drink. And while at the festival, Rika reveals to Akasaka the future Hinamizawa, predicting that the festival will grow into a wonderful one. But an unfortunate accident will necessitate his return home. And she also predicts that the deaths and disappearances of several construction workers, Hojo Satoko's parents, her own parents, and several others, even herself. And Rika then tells Akasaka her wish, to break free of the cycle and have everything back to normal, and Akasaka leaves the festival, feeling rather confused. He then later tries to make contact with his wife, Yuki, who is expectant with their first child. However, it seems that his connections to the outside world have been eerily cut off, and it is later revealed that Rika was guilty of this, and had cut the phone wires, making it impossible for him to contact anyone. Soon Akasaka receives a call. Yuki had died in the hospital due to fatally falling down a flight of stairs. With this, Akasaka returns to Tokyo. The story picks up 5 years later, when Akasaka, along with his child Noishi, returned to Hinamizawa after the Great Hinamizawa disaster. In the 5-year time span, the deaths and disappearances that Rika predicted, even her own, all came true. And Akasaka decides to fulfill Rika's wish, and along with Oishi, and they create a book called Higurashi When They Cry, possibly detailing the tragedy and sorrow that Rika mentioned to Akasaka. This is the first answer arc, and it was released on December 30th, 2004. And it was told in Shion Sonozaki's point of view, and it follows her life and psychotic behavior caused by the person she loves, Satoshi Hojo. And it was confirmed that he did kill his aunt, and that he had saved and withdrew money to buy Satoko a teddy bear. He was not planning on running away when he disappeared. Shion and Mion's estrangement, such as why they go to different schools, is also explained. This story begins when Shion Sonozaki escapes from her private school to return to Hinamizawa, and during her time there, she meets Satoshi, who protected her from a group of thugs. She also begins borrowing her twin sister Mion Sonozaki's identity, and eventually taking over her life as her paranoia increases. In this arc is revealed that because Mion and Shion switched occasionally, and that their own names were reversed, Shion, the twin we know as Mion, was given the demon tattoo instead of Mion, the twin we know as Shion. Now you might have noticed that the twin in Watanagashi-hen I mentioned earlier who tortures everyone is actually Shion dressed as Mion. And she imprisons Mion in the cellar the day after the Watanagashi festival, which means that all occurrences of Mion afterwards in Watanagashi-hen is actually Shion acting as her. So she switched places with Mion one final time and tells her to go down to the well and apologize to Satoshi, only to tase her at the edge of the well and causing her to fall to her death. Shion is later rescued by the police, appearing as if she was kept prisoner, which leads everyone to believe that Mion was the true culprit who fell down into the well and broke her neck. As she was being tormented by her own consciousness, Shion continues her vendetta and stabs Keiichi in his stomach, declaring that she has succeeded in killing all she targeted for the responsibility of Satoshi's disappearance, and she laughs maniacally and asks Satoshi to praise her. And while she tries to sneak into her apartment through her window to avoid police surveillance, she slips and falls. And as she falls, she sees Satoshi's smiling face in the moon and tearfully apologizes to him before falling to her death. While recovering in the hospital, Keiichi hallucinates Mion torturing him and dies from an apparent heart attack. This is the second answer arc, and it was released on August 14th, 2005. And this arc introduces the idea that there is nothing demonic or supernatural happening in Hinamizawa. However, the Hinamizawa syndrome causes the insanity. The three great houses who worship Oyashiro as a god do not want the information released since it would diminish the god's image. And Takano still appears at the Watanagashi festival 24 hours after the time of her death with her body without an explanation. And this arc presents the events in Onikakushihen from another view, which reveals that Keiichi suffered paranoia-induced hallucinations that made him only think people were trying to kill him. And thus, the syringe he saw in that arc was merely a magic marker. Instead of Keiichi Maebara becoming a victim of the Hinamizawa syndrome, Sumihoro Boshihen is mostly told from the perspectives of Keiichi and Rena Ryugu as she succumbs to, which include additional symptoms that did not happen to Keiichi in Onikakushihen. Sumihoro Boshihen actually reveals additional information about Rena's past and Keiichi's reasons for moving to Hinamizawa from Tokyo. And this arc looks like it has a good ending. But after completing the game, the player gets an additional tip, or a demon script, which shows the story's true ending. And the additional information was left out in the first season in the anime, but it was revealed in the second season's first episode reunion. In the manga, as Rika Furude teased the reader that he had his happy ending but decided to turn the page. This is the third answer arc, and it was released on December 30th, 2005. And it is mostly told from the viewpoint of Rika Furude. And it answers more questions than just those in Tatari Goroshihen, and thanks to the determination of Keiichi Maebara saves Hojo Satoko from her fates in that arc. And it is the first arc which the verified fates of June 1983 are changed, and in which the true murderer behind the plot is revealed. This story begins with Rika Furude in an altered state of reality. Around her, various prisms float and circulate her. As she examines them, she mentions that they are fragments from various summers in 1983. Within the fragments are the memories from Onikakushihen, Watanagashi-hen, Mikashi-hen, and Sumihoro Boshihen. Rika then calls upon Hanyu, a mysterious goddess, saying that they are going to a new universe. And Hanyu agrees, but tells Rika that there will be nothing she can do but to change the outcomes of this new world, and Rika acknowledges this, but half-heartedly. Well, the world they would walk into appears to be similar to Watanagashi-hen or Mikashi-hen, and the group along with Rika heads to the toy store in Okinomiya. And the outcome of the event is the same with the Watanagashi and Mikashi-hen. Keiichi wins the porcelain doll. However, instead of choosing Rena in the previous worlds, he chooses Mion as the recipient. Rika and Hanyu stay back for a bit and note that Keiichi saved them all from the disastrous outcome of Watanagashi and Mikashi. And Rika later catches up with the group, hopeful that there will be a world where her friends will break free of the destinies. And Hanyu is unsure, but does not want to discourage Rika. However, over the next few days, Satoko has been absent from school. Her friends find this suspicious, and Rika tells them that Satoko's abusive uncle, Teipei, has returned to town, causing Satoko to move back in with him. And upset by this, their teacher, Chihiro Miko, investigates. As it turns out, Satoko has a cold. However, she is being put to work and abused by Teipei. She tries to contact the child welfare office, and a representative visits Hinamizawa. However, the efforts to help Satoko are stymied by Satoko's refusal to accuse Teipei, along with a past false accusation against the previous stepfather, which created a bureaucratic impasse. Teipei also threatens to burn down Satoshi's room if she refuses to remain silent. And Keiichi and the rest of this organize the citizens of Hinamizawa to come together to protest on her behalf. Keiichi even succeeds in convincing Sonozaki, or Yo, in relent on hatred of the Hojo family. And, nevertheless, Keiichi convinces Satoko that the village supports her, and she finally denounces Teipei. In the midst of this happy conclusion, the revealed powers behind the great Hinamizawa disaster become apparent. This arc is the grand finale of the series, and it was released on August 13th, 2006. And it is mostly told from the viewpoint of Rika Furude, as well as her other friends. This arc follows Minagoroshi-hen and precedes the upcoming epilogue, Saikoroshi-hen. And this story resolves the remaining questions, and because of the renewed determination of Hami Furude, the enemy Minagoroshi-hen, she is now a physical character in this world, and all the characters gathered together in order to defeat the villain, Mio Takano, and smash the fates of June 1983. The anime itself actually brought a lot of laughs, and it actually did bring a lot of suspense, but because of Studio Dean's work, it actually brought out the real meaning of bringing Higurashi to life. With the new anime being animated by Kadokawa, it's going to be a lot more interesting, and we'll actually get to see a lot of new changes. Let's hope that this remake of Higurashi no Naku Koro ni turns well.